January 22nd, 1964 saw Price back on the big screen in the AIP black comedy, The Comedy of Terrors. Taking its name from the William Shakespeare play The Comedy of Errors, this film stars Vincent Price as Waldo Trumbull, a morally and financially bankrupt mortician who is so cheap he digs up his clients and retrieves their coffins to reuse for future burials. Set in the late 1800s, Trumbull lives with his wife Amaryllis, played by Joyce Jameson, and father-in-law Amos Hinchley, played by Boris Karloff. He runs the funeral parlor with his assistant Felix Gilly, played by Peter Lorre, who is secretly in love with Amaryllis and despises how poorly Trumbull treats her. Times are tough and Trumbull is seriously behind on his rent. When their landlord, Mr. Black, played by Basil Rathbone, demands they pay the past rent, Trumbull devises an ingenious plan for raising funds: murder. Together with a reluctant Felix, he pays a visit to a wealthy elderly neighbor in the dead of night, sneaking into his room and smothering him with a pillow. Quite the way to drum up business, eh? They are hired to perform the burial, but when they show up the next day to collect payment, they discover that the man's wife has made off with all his belongings. Back at square one, with Black still staunchly demanding payment, Trumbull determines the only course of action is to kill Black himself. The Comedy of Terrors was made for American International Pictures and reunited the main actors from another AIP picture, the anthology film Tales of Terror, made just 1 year prior. However, Comedy of Terrors wasn't directed by Roger Corman as Tales was. Corman was busy in pre-production for the next Poe film, so the directorial duties fell instead to Jaques Tourneur. Once again, the script was written by Richard Matheson. As in Tales of Terror, Price, Lorre, Rathbone, and Jameson all appear again together in this film. Now, only one segment of Tales was comedic in nature, but it no doubt served as inspiration for this movie, which is a true black comedy. It's interesting to note that in this film, Lorre's character is in love with Jameson, who is unhappily wed to Price's character. In Tales of Terror, the roles were reversed. Price was pining away for the affections of Jameson, who was unhappily married to the abusive Peter Lorre. Karloff was originally supposed to play the role of Mr. Black, the landlord in this film, but because it was such a physical part, they realized that Karloff, whose health was declining, wasn't quite up to the task, so he and Basil Rathbone switched parts, which wound up being a good thing as Karloff is fantastic in the part and steals the show. The Comedy of Terrors is a terrific film and one of Vincent Price's best, and is in fact on my personal top 10 list of Vincent Price films. I had the pleasure of introducing it last year at the Wonderfest convention in Louisville, Kentucky, with both Boris Karloff and Vincent Price's daughters in attendance in the audience. Next up, Price would appear in a fan favorite, the sci-fi post-apocalyptic film, The Last Man on Earth.
Is there no morality left in this world?
Here at the bank, we've discovered a fascinating pastime. Hangman. Each player puts a word here. Wrong window. Then they try to guess each other's words. L?
Nope. G?
No. Endorse it. Q?
R.
Right. A?
Nope. L?
No. N. Wrong bank. If you have a little time to kill, guess.
Hangman! I won!
I can't play with these interruptions. Hangman from Milton Bradley.